Picture this: blackout curtains drawn, anti-aircraft guns barking into a moonless sky, sirens wailing, and a city convinced it's under attack. Except the enemy has no sound, no wings, only light. Fast forward 5 years, and a farmer in New Mexico finds mysterious debris with strange markings. 2 decades of modern history later, we've been asking the most human question there is. If they visited before, why would they come back? This episode: history, mystery, and one possible plot twist that will rearrange how you imagine the visitors. Buckle up and maybe don't leave a casserole unattended in your driveway. They're picky. In February 1942, just 2 months after Pearl Harbor, Los Angeles was on edge. Reports say searchlights pierced the sky. Anti-aircraft shells lit up the night. Newspapers called it a defense of the homeland. Some witnesses later swore they saw metallic shapes and silent hovering lights. The official story: false alarm and jittery nerves. The other story: a possible encounter.
With the nation on edge, misidentification was common. But several credible witnesses described objects that behaved unlike known aircraft.
Why does this matter? Because it's one of the first instances where military forces engaged or thought they engaged something that didn't play by the rules. Radar returns and anti-aircraft rounds didn't produce wreckage. Visual reports spoke of glowing spheres, evasive, fast, and indifferent to bullets. Also notable, the city lost more sleep than planes. Hollywood called. The aliens apparently registered for the premiere but left early. Historians argue for a couple of possibilities: experimental enemy craft, weather balloons, mass hysteria, or something else. The significance is the military reaction. If a state will fire on an unknown in wartime, that unknown becomes part of the historical record. Jump forward to 1947, Roswell, New Mexico. You've heard it before: crashed saucer, alien bodies, government cover-up. But beneath the myth is a jumble of debris, witness testimony, and a sudden culture obsessed with flying saucers.
The rancher who found the debris described strange rubbery materials and metallic sticks. People who saw it later said the pieces had memory-like flexibility. Everything about Roswell fuzzed out the line between common and extraordinary.
Official story changed. First balloons, then weather experiment, then crash test dummies. What's interesting is that Roswell became the cultural seed. UFOs stopped being isolated sightings and became a global story. 2 key ideas arose. 1, the crash was terrestrial technology or a classified test, mischaracterized. 2, it was non-terrestrial, and the secrecy that followed wasn't just about hiding wreckage, it was about controlling the narrative of the modern world. If aliens crashed in 1947 and somebody stole their pickup truck, would we have seen alien Craigslist, one saucer, slightly used? But Roswell did more than fuel conspiracy forums. It propelled an entire field of inquiry, earnest scientists listening, and ordinary people becoming witnesses. It also raised a question that still echoes. If the visitors came then, why then? What did they want with a post-war planet? We're the ones who started shouting back. Radio telescopes, Pioneer plaques, Voyager golden records. We've been broadcasting our existence like someone at a party yelling, "I like jazz," into the void.
We've scanned the sky for narrowband signals and looked for deliberate patterns. There are candidate signals that raise eyebrows, but none have cleared the bar to be a confirmed broadcast from an extraterrestrial intelligence.
SETI's work is patient and probabilistic. Scan, listen, wait. But in the 20th century, there were moments, the wow signal, ambiguous blips, that made people wonder. And if an intelligence heard us then, what might have motivated them to visit? Curiosity? Warning? Rescue? What if the signal wasn't hello, but help? Or worse, you've misplaced the keys to your civilization? Side note, if aliens are listening, our playlist choices are problematic. Sending Baby Shark into interstellar space is a bold strategy. The interesting link. People who study SETI and people who study physical evidence sometimes live in different worlds. SETI calls out. Witnesses claim someone knocked on the door. Stitch those threads together, and you get a narrative thread. We may have been noticed, maybe even nudged. If an extraterrestrial ship comes back, who answers the door? The Pentagon? The UN? A social media influencer with a megaphone? Historically, governments prepared quietly.
There are attempts to create contact protocols. Should we respond? Who should craft that response? The risk is that different agencies might have different agendas, scientific, military, or purely political.
Imagine 3 versions. A. The scientist answer, measured and curious. B. The politician answer, defensive and controlled. C. The populist answer, live-streamed, hashtagged, trending in 10 minutes. The first is the rational path. The second is a power play. The third is chaos with a ring light. Declassified and leaked documents over time show that some state actors did draft contingency plans. The core problem? Nobody could truly predict the motives of an alien intelligence. Plans rely on assumptions that the visitors value communication or property or the law of cause and effect. And no plan covered the scenario where an alien shows up demanding to speak with the one who manages Earth cuisine. Still, protocols matter. They determine whether we respond with curiosity, force, or a strongly worded resolution. They also shape public perception, and perception controls panic, or, if mishandled it, creates a hysterical open mic night for the universe. Okay, speculative time. If they return, here are 5 scenarios, ranked by plausibility and entertainment value. The anthropologists. They come to study us. Curious, gentle, maybe a little smug about their interstellar PhD. The rescue mission. They're not returning to conquer. They're returning to collect something they left behind. A seed, a code, an escaped microbe. Think cosmic lost and found. The warning. They return to warn us about an environmental apocalypse or future predator. Stern faces, lots of slides, we told you so energy. The trade delegation. They come with a catalog. We'll trade you 1 warp drive for 3 goats and a Tesla. Negotiations are messy. The cosmic malfunction. They arrive because their GPS crashed, and Earth is on reroute. Comical, but technically likely. Each scenario has different implications for diplomacy, for culture, for who gets to speak for us. But the second one, rescue and collection, is the twistiest, and it flips the script. Here's the twist that makes historians cough into their coffee. What if return doesn't mean return to conquer or return to observe, but return to retrieve something of theirs that's now part of our biosphere or history? Think of it like this. If an intelligent species seeded life, left artifacts, or deposited technology that interacts with Earth systems, then a later visit could be retrieval, a tidy, clinical pickup, maybe something we dug up, used, or accidentally integrated into our tech. Maybe we filed it under archaeology and called it mystery.
Material, introduced into a biosphere, could behave unpredictably. If another species wanted it back, they might return politely or simply take it.
If this were true, many pieces of 20th century mystery, unexplained debris, odd experiments, sudden cultural shifts, could be traces of an interstellar tidy-up operation. The return, then, is less about showing off and more about housekeeping. So maybe when people say, "The aliens took my lawn gnome," they weren't entirely wrong. If visitors return to retrieve something, it reframes contact from threat to conversation, from conquest to complicated relationship. It asks us to be better hosts for our planet, clearer about what we keep, and honest about what we broadcast. Like this kind of speculative deep dive? Hit subscribe, ring the bell, and tell us in the comments, which scenario do you think is likeliest? If you want a part 2, Aliens at the UN, we'll script read the press conference. Spoiler, it includes coffee.